fact that I'm the one up here talking about it, in that, what do I look like? I'm a white man who just got up here, and like, I am fully aware that, remember, equal opportunity and differences in opportunity? Part of the reason that I'm up here talking to you all today, there's no doubt that the fact that I am a white man played some role in the fact that I was able to get up here and have the time to read these things and then talk to you about them. And so like, that sort of awareness from within the workplace, and just being aware that like, oh no, not everyone is gonna be aware. And like, even ways where if, you know, you're working in a workplace and it might seem to you like, oh yeah, it's totally normal. All the video game developers have characters who refuse to put on clothes to fight with swords if they're female. Like, being aware that like, no, you know, just because this is how we've been doing it, doesn't necessarily mean it's like the best way. And just being aware of our own biases is like one of the major ways of doing this. Like, the fact is, unfortunately, we all have our biases, and the only way to fight against them is you have to not be your lazy ancestors and recognize like, oh no, I have to pause here and recognize that I need to actively think. Like, the thing that I'm doing right now, that is actually somewhat offensive or somewhat continuing with the stereotypes, and actively fight against that. And I think that's one of the things that you can see is this is one of the few areas in the semester that I think there are some good signs of change. And I mean, like, to be clear, we are nowhere near perfection, and as I said before, we're out of like a pile of shit and into a trash pile, which may or may not be on fire. But at the very least, like, there's some evidence that things are getting a bit better on this front. So at least you have a little bit of positivity. But don't like stop and pat yourself on the back that things are all great now, because there's also a backlash going on, as we know. But yeah, so that's the main thing I think about this unit, is just being aware of these things and understand that, like, on the one hand, Google is not trying to be racist or sexist. And understanding that if they were, that would be a much easier problem to fix. You just say they're being racist, let's get out the racist CEO. But when a company is trying for its own benefit just to get the best people for the jobs, and the issues are that they sometimes get in their own way, just being aware of the ways that you might get in your own way, or your company might, is just one of the only ways that you can make a difference in this. And the good news is it's a rather easy one. You don't have to like spend money, you literally just have to ask yourself, am I being racist right now? Or am I making it an uncomfortable workplace for somebody else with this thing I'm saying? Any last questions on gender and race and tech? I think, and another thing is just keeping aware of, if you find this stuff in any way like interesting, or like just keeping your eyes on the news and being aware of some of the ways in which this stuff comes up, because there's new stories every week about the ways in which tech has inadvertently like made things more biased as opposed to less biased.
Recently, speaking of the news, I saw, so you know how like Amazon is opening the checkout thingy, what am I referring to? I forgot. Like, they have,
The shopping cart?
Open store, like.
yeah, that one. Like the Amazon store where you don't have to like pay at like cash registers and stuff. It's just like, well.
So first off, no, I did not. I was too busy reading up on all the like racist computer programs this week.
My point is, it doesn't take food stamps.
What? It doesn't do?
Food stamps. Yeah, so these are the sorts of things where like, and it might, so this sort of case, but you can imagine one, like here's another one. Modern technology, what is one way in which everything is designed to move faster in New York City? Like when you're shopping, like let's put that to one side. What is a very common thing you will see if you go to a store to buy something? How are you very often paying? What do they have in front of them?
Debit card, Apple Pay.
Apple Pay or Square, or any sort of card reader. How is that right there itself in some ways discriminate, like the cards only policy is itself in a certain way designed tech-wise to make everyone's life faster and simpler. And it's also built in incredibly discriminatory, because who is more likely to have easy access to a credit or debit card? Yeah.
A rich
the-
person.
Rich people are gonna have no problem with that. So it's also at the same time, like if you say no cash, there's a very particular demographic of people that you are now not allowing to shop at your store.
Yeah.
And so this is a way in which you look at it and you're like, oh, on the one hand, like, they don't think of it in this way because the goal is if everyone's just tapping a card, it will move the line faster. But the flip side of this is you are now telling anyone who wants to pay in cash, you aren't welcome here. And you're also making it much harder for this person. And it's not like a conscious thing where you're like, you're not welcome here. But if you're somebody who wants to buy something and all you have is cash, you're going to feel, I'm not welcome there. And if you're somebody whose family is like, you know, always pays in cash, and you go to work for the company that's making it the case that people can't pay in cash, there's a sense in which, oh, I'm working for this company that doesn't want me here.
Well, I mean, I think it's arguable that it's technically and counterintuitive to have a debit card or any type of plastic without money, like, because it'd be pointless. Like, I mean, it's arguable though. Like, they could argue that you should have a credit card because you could build your credit, or like you should get a debit card with the intention of putting money on it. But if you have a debit card with $0 on it, you can't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's a certain group of people, namely people who don't have a huge bank account, where it literally doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to have a debit card. It's just carrying around a piece of plastic that's connected to an account that has no money in it. It's like, what am I going to do with this? And actually, with many of those accounts, if you don't keep a certain amount of money in it, it'll charge you.
Yeah.
So it's literally, it's not even that it's you've got nothing in it, it's you are losing money by having this card. And because of that, people who have very small bank accounts, and unfortunately in the United States, that very often people of color, that you're going to have cases in which people cannot pay in anything but cash. And because of that, any sort of business that only takes cards is effectively a discriminatory one.
I found like some of the headlines. It's like 3 random headlines. It's like the first one is study more than 1 in 10 Amazon employees in Ohio is on food stamps. Amazon's new checkout-free grocery store doesn't take food stamps, and Jeff Bezos is the richest person in history.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are what we were talking about last time, about like economic opportunity, where on the one hand you want to say like the point of food stamps is to allow people who have less to begin with to, you know, feed themselves. And what we're seeing is as companies like Amazon become bigger and bigger, if they are not taking food stamps, that is now pushing the equality of opportunity down even more, because now if you don't have to use food stamps, things are even easier for you. You can go to Amazon and things are simpler. But if you have food stamps, you're now being left farther behind, because not only is it the case that you can't use this Amazon store, you're going to have to go somewhere else, where given how dominant Amazon is, prices might be rising. And therefore your food stamps might not get you as much as it did 10 years ago. And so this is the thing. Also, for those of you who are curious, within the past few months, Amazon was voted as one of the 10 worst places to work in the country.
Very true.
Yeah. There was
Exploitation.
I was just gonna say, like, on top of the fact that you said, you know, about food stamps, so you're gonna have to go somewhere else, but like, it's more than that though, because you're gonna have to go somewhere else where they accept food stamps. That's a bigger picture too, because like, you could think about it in small terms, like, okay, you know, Amazon Go is not gonna accept food stamps, so the place you're gonna go is gonna accept food stamps, so we gotta figure out more about this place that accepts food stamps, because what do we know really about the place that accepts food stamps, except for the fact that they accept it? Like, are they really representative of the people that need food stamps?
Yeah, and that's another thing with all of these is that if you are very often, there's another question of just like, because of, so one, and this goes back, if you think back to the civil rights movement, one of the major reasons that people would give in the South for why it was okay to have segregated schools was the reasoning was everyone's getting an education. It's all fair. They might go to different schools, but it's all equal. Everyone's being taught. And the obvious issue was you look at these schools and you see like, no, these are not equal schools. Schools are not created equal. You are getting a better education at one than the other, and all the funding is going to the white school. And so there's another question of like, not only this with the food stamps, if Amazon's not accepting food stamps, then you're going to be going somewhere else, and unlike Amazon, which we generally know what we're getting from them, in a lot of cases, there's also, as certain companies are catering to certain groups, there's a question of whether the people who can't meet those expectations are given something which is actually as good. Like, yes, you are getting food with food stamps, but are you getting, like, the quality of food that you would get if you could afford to go to, or if they took food stamps at Amazon? And the answer is probably not. And, you know, what's another way of ensuring that you are, you know, have less energy and are less likely to succeed? Well, have worse nutrition. So it all ties back together.
And furthermore, it's just not fair. It's very, like, exclusive, very inaccessible for, like, the population, and it just really, like, separates two groups of people, like the groups of people that, like, use food stamps and the groups of people that, like, can afford to not. It's just like a separation. I don't think that's what, like, the society needs right now even more of, and it's just, like, sad.
Yeah, it's incredible. And there's something even more upsetting about it in that so many Amazon employees are on food stamps. There's something, like, extra heartbreaking of, like, we are making a new program and you are helping it work and you cannot benefit from it. Like, there's something on top of that which is just, like, extra unpleasant, like, leaves an extra bad taste in my mouth. And, like, these are the sorts of things that just, like, being aware of the ways in which tech is, you know, making it a lot easier for a lot of people, but also at the same time is comparatively making the gaps between us even more. Like, if Jeff Bezos wanted to buy a nation, he could probably do it. He has that much money. Like, my guess is he has more money. There are countries in the world that do not have as much money as he does personally in his bank account. And, like, that is and, like, you can think about it in the one sense of, like, yes, he started this business which is giant and he should have a lot of money. Like, on the one hand you can think that, but I'm sure that's, like, I'm sure that's what he thinks. I'm sure he doesn't, like, think like this is a problem. But also you look at it and it's like, okay, so not only is Jeff Bezos guaranteeing himself for life, he is guaranteeing the well-being of, like, his children will never have to, like, his children, if he has them, would never have to work a day in their lives, like, full stop. Not only that, they probably could live till they were, like, 1,000 and never have to work a day in their life. And so these are the questions of, like, is that a society that we necessarily want? And if not, what do we do about it? Because on the one hand...
First of all, they do have the money to live to 1,000.
Yeah, they probably do. I mean, yeah. Do people remember what happened? Was it Ted Williams or Walt Disney where they, like, put him on ice? Walt Disney, yeah. Walt Disney's currently in, like, cryogenic freezing tank, like, in case they ever one day figure out how to bring him back to life. So yeah, the guy, Walt Disney, the guy who would, you know, started Disney.
He was a visionary.
Yeah, is currently, like, frozen somewhere. Ted Williams, the former baseball player, there was a whole thing because his head got separated from his body and they were being frozen separately. And there was a big, like, legal battle over who got his head. That was a very different story that was funny for all the different reasons. But, yeah. All right, any others that we want to,
Actually, fun fact. You know that Walt Disney, he started his career as a mailboy?
I think I did know that.
Yeah.
I think I did know that.
Yeah, before he became, you know, the Walt Disney that everybody loves, he was a mailboy, you know.
Will Gita? What will Gita have?
I was gonna, like, say something, but could be sad about it. I'll just say it anyway. So I don't know how food stamps work, but is it like a paper or?
I actually don't. I don't know the logistics of how they work these days. I know that they were at one point like actual stamps.
Isn't it like a card?
Yeah, it's a card.
It's a card.
It hasn't always been a card though.
Yeah.
No,
That much I do know. I don't know, like, now what they're doing, but I know, like, it hasn't always been a card.
Yeah.
My guess is, so yeah, it sounds like it used to be literal physical stamps where, like, you would
Like,
get.
I remember it used to be where you had, like, they show you, like, on the food stamp, like, this is for milk, cereal.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, you know, I never really had food stamp, but I've seen them, you know, but then it became like a card.
Yeah, now I think, yeah, it's similar to like a card hooked up to an account.
Thankfully, I never had to use a food stamp.
Do you think Jeff Bezos owns an island station?
Probably. But we already broke the streak last week, so
I see
giving
what
up.
you did there.
That was a good one. Yeah, you missed it. We ended like an hour and a half early, so the streak broke. All right, I don't remember what we're going to be talking about next week, but we will talk about it. Most importantly, though, just send me your papers by the end of the day Monday, and then I will attempt to get them back to you all ASAP. Until then, have a great weekend, and I will see you all next week.